10 worst game mechanics ever created. I don't know why. This just seems like an absolutely hilarious video idea to me.
The whole idea of advancing mechanics in the video game world is to create new experiences that gamers will enjoy. It doesn't always go that way though, does it? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on
What if I just bump this up to 1.5 speed, because this is traditionally the way that I watch these types of videos.
Gameranx, let's talk about the 10 worst.
See, this is like my autistic ADHD brain kind of needs this kind of tempo. You know what I mean? The cat is losing her mind seeing my face on that screen.
Mechanics ever created. Starting off with number 10 is forced app integration in Grand Theft Auto 5. No denying that this is a great game. Like, it's been around for about 10 years. We've all loved it.
Forced app integration?
And while this mechanic is mostly tangential, there's a lot of annoying and frustrating, unnecessary crap about it. I'm talking about the iFruit app in Grand Theft Auto 5. If you don't know, when it first launched, it introduced integration with
You know, honestly, I haven't played through... This is crazy to think about. I haven't played through the Grand Theft Auto 5 story since it came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. That's the last time I played through the story. I've played Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS4 and PC, but not the story. So like I genuinely don't even really remember any like app integration.
Phone app, which wouldn't be that big of a deal, but the stupid app was required to do certain in-game functions. Like if you wanted to customize your license plate, you had to use the app, and there was
I don't care about that.
Want to play the dog walking minigame? Well, you had to use the app for that. In the
I don't care about that.
Minor, but it's also really annoying that you can't just do them in the game, especially because the app was notoriously inconsistent and prone to crashing. Another thing that made
I don't remember any of that, and I didn't care about any of it either.
People hate the app was that, well, if Rockstar were to take it down, parts of the game would just forever be unplayable. And that's exactly what happened on December 12th, 2022, when the app was removed from the Apple Store and Google Play. They're working on a way to customize the car using a website instead, but the dog stuff is still DOA, and it's especially annoying because it's required.
I don't remember the dog stuff.
100% completion. Also,
okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that's annoying, man. Like, I'm not really like a 100% completionist, but like I've gone through phases. Like when I was younger, I cared a little bit more about that. Now I don't, because it's like beating a game takes 20 hours to 30 hours, but then getting a completionist type deal, it's like over 100 hours. I don't have the time for all that. In single player, not really. I could play multiplayer for that amount of time, but like collectathon type stuff till I get to 100 something hours, nah, I'm good.
Just put a car customization thing in the game. Why do I need to use a website?
True.
It's dumb.
I don't remember having to use a website. I thought, I mean, maybe I only remember this from like GTA 5 Online, but you could customize cars in GTA 5 Online, could you not? Like in the game? Like maybe you couldn't go super mega detailed, I guess?
Splitting game mechanics across different platforms just sucks. It's a short-sighted and annoying idea that only leads to problems like this. Let us do the stuff in the game. There just wouldn't be problems. Like I bought a game. Let me game. At number 9 is insta-death QuickTime events. Oh God. Bad enough mechanic. They're like just reviled by people, you know?
I mean, this isn't so bad as long as you immediately get right back into it. There's nothing... We haven't really had like super long... The longest one I can really think of like a QuickTime event, unless you're talking about those movie games, would be Resident Evil 4, the OG Krauser fight. Not the new Resident Evil 4, because I know they got rid of the QuickTime stuff, but like the OG Krauser fight. But like once you do that once, you're pretty much never going to fail that ever again. You know what I mean?
And in a bout of good judgment, they've been mostly excised from modern gaming. So there's not really a lot of QTEs, but there are levels to the ones that exist. Some give you a few chances to fail or just don't matter much in the long run. And those are fine. Whatever. If you're going to throw a couple of those into the game,
yeah, if you show me one of those movie games, bro, I just do not care. Like, truth be told, those little movie games where the whole point is just doing QuickTime events and then making like left or right type choices, nah, I think I'm good on that.
Those don't.
That's not a game, bro. That's a Goosebump choose your destiny type book.
It really bother me in any way. As long as they don't replace some experience that would be better if I had full control, fine. But then there's the kind of QTE that comes out of nowhere, barely give you any time to react, and then kill you instantly if you fail. Basically a slap in the face for no real reason. Like for instance, in the original Resident Evil 4, not how you make the right way, Resident Evil 4, the original, there was some sketchy stuff.
Hey, don't trash talk. I still have to play through the remake of RE4. I have it on PC, so maybe I'll do it in the next few days. I'll probably stream that entire game. Like the Final Fantasy VII remake, I've been playing it off stream and stuff because there's just too much like downtime in that game. Resident Evil 4 is like a high octane. It's like one of my favorite games, the OG one, because it's good from start to finish. There's nothing that really annoys me about it. I've played through it hundreds of times, and I've heard that the new one is really good. I've had it for so long, I just haven't touched it. Well, I've had it since it came out, and I just haven't touched it because we moved and all that other stuff.
And also, that game is somehow single-handedly responsible for popularizing it despite that. Like, obviously, the fights that have been remade into, actual fights in the new one, they took that away from us, more or less, by making them QTEs. That said, one of the worst mechanically are in Bayonetta 1. Again, great game, but some of these QTEs are just unforgivable.
I need to play this game as well. I think there was a Humble Bundle that had this game on it, but I also had, like, every other game in the bundle, so I didn't get it.
them so bad is they barely ever show up in the game, and they're extremely strict, even as far as these things normally go. And worst of all, if you die...
Oh, and that reminds me, bro. I just rebought the Devil May Cry HD collection for PS5 because I haven't played Devil May Cry in a long time. It only has 1, 2, and 3, but I used to love Devil May Cry. I haven't played 5.
They actually lower your overall score. Bayonetta, like most Platinum games, is one of those games that has an actual importance to the score. And if you messed it up, you would have to restart the level, or your score was screwed. That's just really unnecessarily punitive. Thankfully, later games did not have them, because seriously, they just...
I mean, I don't mind QuickTime events, but I also don't mind that they're gone. You know, to me, they just never really meant anything. But I think it's because I was never bad enough at QuickTime events. I feel like I've rarely ever died to a QuickTime event. So I guess like if you're just not prepared or something, it's not even like it's not even like a reaction time thing, because some people might just like not really be paying attention, or they'll have they're watching a cutscene, so they've just got their controller on the ground. I don't mind them as much because I haven't died to them as much, but also like I don't feel bad when they're gone. Like when they told me that there wouldn't be any in the RE4 remake, I was like, oh, that's like one part of the game I don't care about at all.
Suck. I love the Bayonetta games, and I love going back to the first one, and if there's one complaint I have about that game, it's these. The flip side of this one is if QTEs had never become popular, I would never have had the privilege to stumble through that market in heavy rain and fight chickens and fall on frozen...
I've never played this game, but I have seen this, and it's hilarious.
Foods. I will say that's probably one of my favorite things of all time. But is it worth
yeah, that's
all of these
hilarious.
QuickTime events? I don't know. It's worth a lot of them, but all of them, I don't think so. At number 8 is the flashlight from Doom 3. Rare to see a game mechanic so universally reviled. It's almost
just the flashlight from Doom 3, because other flashlights are useful. This flashlight was just like god awful. Didn't they make it so you could strap it to a gun in like later versions?
Completely removed from every modern version of the game. But that's
okay, yeah.
How dumb the flashlight mechanic in Doom 3 was. It was
you couldn't have a gun out.
That it completely dominated any and all discussion of the game. And shit, here we go again. How it works is so basic. You get a flashlight, like in most FPS games, but if you actually want to use it, you have to put away your gun. It basically works like it takes up a weapon slot. So
that's awful.
Trade-off between being able
and Doom was like way slower than any other Doom game, so it wasn't absolutely terrible, but it was just like, come on, bruh. What are you doing? The game was crazy dark. I remember playing it and not being able to see anything.
Use a gun or being able to see. You can.
And I was way too young to be playing like Doom 3, by the way.
Not do both. Well, at least until like a day later when somebody made a duct tape mod that made it so you could shoot guns and see at the same time. I know the devs wanted to make the game scarier by forcing players to fight enemies in the dark.
The problem was that it wasn't really... Doom 3 wasn't really scary, in my opinion. There were some cool parts, like when you get the chain... I remember specifically when you get the chainsaw and you're kind of going through that hallway or whatever. Oh man, I should play through Doom 3 again. But most of it wasn't really scary at all.
But this whole mechanic just raises way too many obvious questions, and it just makes the game look silly. Like, let's say, all right, your guy doesn't have a way to attach the flashlight to his gun. Fine. Hold the gun in one hand and the flashlight in the other. That said, the idea that there's not some kind of like strap or adhesive in a space station that you
that's kind of crazy.
To a gun with? I'm not buying it. Now, every version of the game that you can get a hold of has a chest-mounted light by default.
Okay.
It's a lot more fun as a game.
Yeah, I bet.
The flashlight thing just was not a good idea. I mean,
that's crazy how dark it is. Like, imagine you're playing this during the day too. Like if you're playing it during the day, you have to turn the brightness up on your TV so high.
Trash out of a garbage can and eating it to make a point. You're still eating trash. At number 7 is the instinct mechanic from Hitman Absolution. All right, before the Hitman series managed to revitalize itself and get bigger than ever with the 2016 reboot, there was Absolution, the black sheep of the series. I
don't even know about this.
A lot of questionable decisions were made with this one, the biggest being, in my opinion at least, the instinct mechanic. If it sounds familiar to you, it's because the same mechanic shows up in the recent Hitman 1 and 2, where you can use a kind of detective vision to scan the environment for interactables, security, and enemies. In those games, this mechanic works perfectly fine. No complaints. But in Absolution, wow, it's bad. Now, I am an absolutely massive fan of the Hitman games, and for those of us who enjoy them, we eventually...
What is this UI, man? This looks like an Xbox arcade, like 99-cent game type UI.
We eventually want to play on a harder difficulty. A lot of us get into even...
I haven't played a lot of Hitman games, by the way.
New games and just go to hard by default. But in Hitman Absolution, it's not just that the game becomes harder if you set the difficulty higher. The game becomes unplayable. All for one simple reason. Instinct drains in this game when you use it. It's used for the game's quick shooting, but it's also used for when you're wearing a disguise and want to blend in. In every other game in the series, blending is a free action, but here you have to spend the meter. And that meter drains fast. So much that it makes one of the basic elements of these games, you know, wearing disguises and social stealth, almost...
It doesn't regenerate either?
It's completely pointless. And let's just go ahead and say this. Acting fast because you have a timer and trying to blend into a crowd are contradictory actions. In most cases, it's just better to sneak around in your suit rather than a disguise, which is...
that doesn't make any sense.
That it's mind-boggling. It's just...
I have seen some like really funny clips of Hitman. Really, I just watched Donkey play it and throw like, fire, oh my god, fire extinguishers at people, which looks very fun for 5 minutes, and then I'd probably never play the game again.
Bad, overly punishing system that makes a game that would otherwise be fun not fun. For a lot of people, the whole point of the game, playing on Silent Assassin, is the point. And someone doing stealth, yes, they are supposed to act with purpose and swiftly, but a lot of the time, stealth, especially in a disguise,
Which you would think I'd be into this game, because me and Agent 47, I know his name. You know, we have a lot of like we have a very similar vibe when it comes to like choice of hairstyle 90% of the time. Although I do have hair on my head right now, but
this means fly.
I usually keep it relatively short.
Solo put it so eloquently in Return of the Jedi, and the Imperial officer was going to clear them. They didn't rush. Why did Hitman Absolution make us rush? At number 6 is the slam mechanic from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. This is a game made up essentially of, aside from bland aesthetics, a series of bafflingly bad decisions in
Who played this?
concept and design. One of the most obvious and easiest to make fun of is this utterly asinine slam mechanic. I don't even know what the point really is. How it worked originally is if you press the button, your character would immediately slam on the ground if you're in the air.
Okay.
Like some kind of combo ender, which I guess would be situationally useful, maybe sometimes, but rarely. That said, this is not.
Wait, what is the problem with this? Like, it's a feature, I guess, but you also don't have to use it.
Super Mario 64. What's the point of this? If it was just an unnecessary,
Like, you could end a combo before you. I guess you could end a combo before potentially falling over. Like, if running into a wall would make you fall over or something, or like slamming if it ended the combo before you're about to hit a pole and fall over. I don't know.
Move, I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but the move was also bound to the grind button. So you could hold or mash buttons to grind, which was like 70% of what you're doing in these games. Now, if you hit the button even slightly before touching a grind, you slam it to the ground and end.
Okay.
If you've ever played any
That's that's dumb.
Tony Hawk game, is about building up comp.
Yo, I should play through all the Tony Hawk games, dude. That's a genius idea. Tony Hawk 1 would for sure piss me off. I remember playing it as a kid. There's certain things that are like burned into my memory that would piss me off. But every other Tony Hawk game, I thought was pretty easy, right? I don't remember.
And grinding is a huge part of that. It goes without saying that people were pretty annoyed by this whole thing, and the devs eventually.
Ooh, and skate.
They also found new and exciting ways to make the game even worse as they did so.
Wow.
At number 5 is pressure-sensitive
Well, I mean, I heard that game was bad.
buttons from Metal Gear Solid. I know that Kojima is one of those guys who just loves to try out experimental console features for fun. We know. Most of the time it works out, though. Like in the first Metal Gear Solid where Psycho Mantis reads your memory.
Yeah, this was
cards,
dope.
games you played. That's a cool idea. Thumbs up there.
I mean, this is technically like before my time, but that's such a cool feature, man. That's like, I don't know. That's so cool. You would play, you'd have a PlayStation memory card, and it would basically look through your memory card and talk about the games you were playing.
It's true power. It's useless, I told you. I can read your every thought.
This one of the weirdest things about DualShock 2 and 3 was that it had pressure-sensitive buttons. And I'm not talking about the triggers, I'm talking about the face buttons.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
Use of them for what are now, and really should have been then, obvious reasons. But of course, Metal Gear Solid 3 did. If you want to
Wait, what?
aim in Metal Gear Solid 3, you have to lightly press the square button. And to fire, you press it hard. The difference
Oh god, that's annoying.
between choking out a guard and slitting their throat, also pressure-sensitive button-oriented. Like in a stealth game, you want precise controls. You slip up, it can leave you exposed, and even after years of practice, I never got a hang of this. If I actually play it on the console, I'm gonna screw all that crap up. This is a fantastic game, but those pressure-sensitive buttons are just awful at best. Actively annoying and hindering to your gameplay at worst.
Well, just play it on PlayStation 2, because didn't he say PlayStation 3? I don't remember that being a thing on PlayStation 2 at all. PlayStation 2 didn't have, since it just played on PlayStation 2, man. I still have it. I still have the disc.
There is an obvious reason why, for many, the Xbox 360 port is considered the
Another game that I was probably playing like way, way too young.
definitive version of the game, because that crap was just gone. At number 4, Everyone Dies When You Die, from Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Ugh.
This one bugs me. And it's not just Yakuza Like a Dragon. This is just a really obvious example, because it's such a modern version of a turn-based RPG.
Yeah.
But you get into a random battle, and for whatever reason, all of the enemies focus on your main dude. He goes down, and that means game over. Never mind that every single party member is as capable as the main guy as...
That happens in Shin Megami Tensei games too, and I mean, it's annoying, but those games are known for being hard, so I like kind of forgive it, because it's like, in a Shin Megami Tensei game, you better do your research, bruh. But some of these other games where it happens, it's like, come on, bruh, this is like a light, I don't want to say light RPG, because it's still an RPG, but at the same time, it's like, take it easy on me, man. We're not playing Shin Megami Tensei.
Raising someone up from KO, either using skills or items. But that's it. Back to the save point. It seems like it should be a thing of the...
I still haven't beat this game either, by the way, and I need to. I played it like a long time ago. I have it on like, I swear I have it on like everything. And I've played through like the first few hours, and it's not even bad. I don't know why, like something always comes up.
past, but it's in so many games, like recent ones that, wow, they seem like that should be gone by now. Like Final Fantasy 13 has it, Valkyria Chronicles 1 has it, pretty much every Persona still does, and like I said, Yakuza Like a Dragon has it.
Shin Megami Tensei, I consider Persona games in that category as well.
I mean, it's weird. Like you can actually...
But you know what? It's, those Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games are harder than your average RPG, so I think it's fair enough.
Back to some select Square RPGs, that is definitely inspiration for all of these, like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 6 and 7. Those games knew that was annoying and stupid, but a lot of these RPGs, I don't know whether it's like out of wanting to appear credible in the old school RPG world. I don't know. But like I said, old school RPGs don't...
I don't remember Like a Dragon being that hard in the few hours that I played it, though.
I have this. It's pointless. It's more than annoying. And developers need to just let it go. Like, I do not care if it's considered a tradition or whatever it is. Losing out of nowhere because your main guy gets targeted is not fun, and it's also stupid. And
which, by the way, you know how often... Oh my god, there's so... Literally, you can look up Nocturne. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Or just look up Nocturne... I can't remember. Maybe it's like Thanks Nocturne or something like that. You will see hundreds, maybe even thousands of clips of people basically getting into random, not even boss fights, random encounters, and the enemy just completely focuses the main character, and they lose. Like it happens. So, you can just randomly, especially if you're playing on the hard difficulty, which I don't even do anymore because it's just too stressful. I beat it once on hard. We'll never try it again. Well, maybe like if I was streaming just to mess around, but like you can just randomly die from a random encounter just because you get caught off guard. Good luck, buddy.
And number 3 is Dark Souls 2's Soul.
I mean, there's ways to prevent it, but like you don't, especially earlier in the game, you don't necessarily have the means yet.
Soul memory. The Souls games all have their fair share of baffling, unnecessary, and confusing mechanics, but one of the most reviled is this one, Soul Memory from Dark Souls 2. In comparison to something like World Tendency, which is just baffling, Soul Memory is actually pretty straightforward.
I didn't mind this.
Basically, it's the game's form of matchmaking. The game keeps track of all the souls you've ever collected, regardless of if you use them to level up, spend them on equipment, or die and lose all of them. What you do with them doesn't matter, just that you have collected them. And then the game matchmakes you with people with similar soul counts. It's a system designed to make players of a similar skill match together, but in practice, it's quite...
it doesn't always work.
Players who are good at a game are less likely to lose a lot of souls and will need to farm, while players who struggle with the game die a lot.
Yeah. I just... I mean, 1v1s were like... I feel like I won most of my 1v1s in Dark Souls. Like, sure, they were like those really like good players that would ruin things, but like I feel like 70% of the time you were playing against somebody who wasn't... I mean, this is Dark Souls 2, so years later, the only people that are left playing it are going to be the sweat lords, I guess. But if you played the game like when it was first out, there's a lot of noobs, man. And some of those noobs are real cocky.
And end up collecting a lot of souls that end up wasted. So inexplicably, less experienced players end up in the higher skill brackets, at least according to the system, while better players are in the lower ones. It's completely ass backwards, and it can make
it's weird
online pretty miserable, which is a shame because a lot of people think Dark Souls 2 is actually the best in terms of multiplayer. It's just a poorly thought out and implemented mechanic that only managed to do the opposite of what devs intended.
It kind of was the best. Well, it was the best in multiplayer in that it was very easy. Like there were many sections of the game where it was very easy to like find people to play against. Like it was probably one of the... Because I couldn't really get into the multiplayer and really... Well, besides Bloodborne. But like, it was so easy to find people to play against in Dark Souls 2. I can't remember that one section, but it's like the lava. But it's like the castle. Somebody could probably tell me. I remember finding people there all the time.
And number 2 is tripping from Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Well, here it is. One of the most inexplicable game mechanics of all time. Nobody knows exactly why it was implemented. Though the director of the game has said some things that imply it was to lower the skill gap between high-level and low-level players.
Yeah, I remember people being really mad at this. I'm not like a super try-hard Smash Bros. Player, though, so I didn't care as much, but it was hilarious. Like, if you're not, like, mega try-hard, it's really funny when it happens. But, you know.
There's a small chance, like a very small chance.
Especially when it happens to somebody that is a tryhard. Oh my god.
That they'll just fall flat on their face and become vulnerable to attack. That's
so stupid.
And while a 1% chance seems small, it's one of those things that's going to for sure happen at the worst possible times. Especially if you're playing this game like pros, where consistently dashing and dash cancel is a big part of it. Like Melee is really heavy into that. I'm not characterizing myself as a professional Melee player or anything, but I am aware. And it's not just a problem for the pros out there. It's annoying for everybody, including myself, and really doesn't do anything to make the game better. It just adds an annoying bit of randomness to it. Like half the fun of Smash Bros. Is all of the random chaos, but not this kind. This is the bad kind of randomness. Just tripping for no reason is, I mean, it's why people trip in real life for the most part, but that doesn't mean I want that in this kind of a fighting game, or any kind of fighting game, actually. What fighting game would be better?
I mean, I don't like it either. I don't like whenever they like purposely nerf potentially good players just to make it. I mean, like, I don't know, make it so is it a removable option? You know what I mean? So like if people are gonna play it competitively, like my friends for sure would turn that off. But at the same time, there's something good about getting good. Like even though now, like I wouldn't care about getting good, like super good at Smash. But even then, like I'm not gonna sit here and try to take away something from somebody who did get really good at Smash. Because some of those really good Smash players are really entertaining to watch.
Better with this. None, I say to you. None. Nintendo realized it too, because future Smash games don't do this. Like, you can trip as a result of some attacks, but it doesn't happen randomly. And finally, at number 1, the Real Money Auction House from Diablo 3. I can't even say it.
Oh, God.
So, I mean...
Oh, God. This wasn't even the worst. Honestly, the worst part of Diablo 3 when it came out is that nobody could play it.
It's one of the worst integrations of real money with a video game. I guess Blizzard wanted a piece of all those players trading items for real money on the internet. So,
bro, it wasn't even just like Blizzard. Like players were making. I knew people that made a lot of money from that at the time. Like, and you have to take in mind that this game came out when I was, I wasn't even an adult yet. I knew other people my age that were making money off of this.
So they created an auction house, this in-game menu where you could trade, similarly to World of Warcraft's auction house, except you didn't use in-game cash, you used money. It sounds like something like this would be totally crazy, like the prices would spike for everything, but in reality the game had the opposite problem. Players were able to get anything they wanted super cheap, pennies on the dollar in fact, so it really messed up the balance of the game, which is relying on creating powerful builds using rare equipment. Like the issue with a real money auction house wasn't just that it could be seen as predatory, it also made the rest of the game way, way worse, which was gonna happen. It just wasn't anticipated to be this way. Loot in Diablo 3 wasn't a lot of fun to get, and a big reason for that was because Blizzard wanted to encourage players to use the auction, which, boo, come on, man. But most of the stuff you get when you were actually out getting loot was boring junk. Now what happened was Blizzard didn't make the kind of money they expected from the auction house, so it had to get shut down and the game get rebalanced and crap, which coincidentally made it significantly better once it was gone. Having some means to combat all the third-party trading made sense. At least they managed to come to their senses on this.
Which, by the way, when I say people that made a lot of money, you have to take in mind that it's coming from like a kid's perspective. Like I'm not talking about like a kid making millions of dollars. They just made like a lot of money from a kid's perspective, because there are people that made like big money, like adult big money. I remember, I mean, I don't know if I could, there were people revealed they made $5,000 during the auction house. Diablo 3 player makes $10,000 from in-game auction house. I'm talking like $100. You know what I mean? But $100 for just playing a game.
Move it, but man, wow. Couple of bonus bad mechanics for you. Low health warning sounds in Legend of Zelda.
Oh, God, dude. And in Pokemon. And I recently played through Dark Cloud for the PlayStation 2. Dear God, the beeping when you're low on health or when your weapon is about to break. Stop. Beep a couple times. Don't constantly beep.
It's a quick one that's too short to fit as a full entry, but who wants to hear like those sounds? You know what I'm talking about. They're the worst, and that one's not even that bad. When you really need to concentrate, they just stress you out when you really need to take some time for yourself and see the matrix, so to speak. Definitely don't help. I'm aware I have low health, thank you. And then there's the NPC sneeze from Earthbound Beginnings. Pretty obscure, but it's bizarre and I have to mention it. In Mother 1, aka Earthbound Beginnings, aka Earthbound 0, whatever you want to call it, the game that came before Earthbound, there's this insane mechanic where when you talk to NPCs, there's a chance that one is going to sneeze and give you a cold. And it happens, obviously. Apparently people who wear blue are more likely to do it. I don't know. Getting a cold is basically getting poisoned in this game, and you got to go to the doctor to get rid of it. So while it's
very cool,
stupid, it's actually also kind of funny. Not for the person playing the game, though. It's just a really unnecessary inconvenience. Like, they managed to make the one thing that's supposed to be safe in an RPG, talking to NPCs, into Russian roulette. And that's all.
I mean, that's funny, though.
Comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video,
honestly, not even that bad. Some were less annoying. I mean, some were definitely annoying. The auction house wasn't even annoying, really. The most annoying game mechanic about Diablo 3 when it first came out is the fact that you had server errors or issues like every 2 seconds. You could not play that game, bro. It was crazy.